Hi, this is Saintless, welcome back to Forge of Empires, and today's video is about the ranking system in the game, which is the points that every player has, and it's one of the main ways for players to compare between each other. And so, from 2016 and onwards, this is the system that we've had, which is that all of these points that you see right here are dependent on four things. First, it is battle points, then it is goods spent. The third way is points from your buildings, and the fourth way is the amount of forge points invested in your city. So the first way is very straightforward. Simply every time that you win a battle, you'll earn a certain amount of battle points, and the ranking points that you earn are exactly 50 times less than the battle points that you earn. So, for example, if I fight this battle here, for example with this artillery, as you can see, I earn 168,000 points, and so the amount of ranking points that I earn is that amount divided by 50. Which means that, for example, this guy right over here at the top with over 100 million battle points has earned this week alone more than 2 million ranking points. The second way is goods spent, whether it be in the tech tree, or for example in negotiations, or even by donating those goods. And the way this works is the following. Every unrefined good has a value that goes up by 0.5 points all the way after the progressive era. So if you spend, for example, 100 goods from the industrial age, the amount of ranking points you will have earned is 5.5 times 100. It's very simple. The only thing that's a bit complex is the fact that from the modern era and up, they are now refined, which means that their value equals to their base value that would have kept going upwards and the value of the age before, which is why the modern era equals to 11.5, because it would have been, instead of 6, it would have been 6.5 as a base value, and then you just add on the 5.0, which is the value for the age of the goods you need in order to refine and make goods from the modern era, which also means that their value is going up by 1, and then 3 ages later, by tomorrow era, they are now refined twice, so their value goes up by 1.5, and finally with the oceanic and virtual feature, they are now refined a third time, and so their value goes up by even more. However, once you reach the space ages, goods are no longer refined, but they are now dependent on Mars or an asteroid ice, which they don't specify the values, and it doesn't make that much sense, but all you need to know is that they are worth obviously more than the previous age. The third point is the points value of the buildings in your city. And the way this works is the following. Simply put, the value of a building is their size, plus the building type factor, which is a 1 for normal buildings like this church or even the great buildings here. Then you have a value of 2, which applies to either premium buildings like these, or any of the event buildings that everyone has in enormous amounts. And finally you have 3, which only applies to the city hall. Once you have done that, you'll need to multiply it by the age factor, which doesn't have a particular rule, it just goes up tremendously from a value of 2 in Stone Age all the way up to 9,000 in Space Age Asteroid Belt. And the final point isn't usually seen as a fourth point, but that's the way I see it, which is a fourth point invested in your city. This is because the value of grid buildings is all of the previous stuff I said before, plus the amount of forge points invested in total times 15, because each forge point equals to 15 regular ranking points. And this obviously means that between a player that has multiple grid buildings with level 10 and another one that, for example, has multiple grid buildings with level 50, there will be not only a difference in performance within the game, but also a difference within the ranking points between those two players. For example, the top player here in the server has, and I've calculated this, more than 6 million forge points invested across all of these great buildings that you see right here, and it totals in almost 100 million ranking points, which is more than I have. And so if I had to sum up and say which of the four are the most relevant, I'll tell you that for most players the goods come in last, then third place regarding the biggest contributor to their points would be probably forge points. However, if your guild helps you out a lot in the beginning, and it's actually going to represent a much larger share of your total points, but usually to stay in third place. And obviously between the top two, the one that gives you the most points is without a doubt battle points. This is because you can reliably farm millions upon millions of points every week if you're a top player. However, you cannot continuously add buildings to your city, and the amount of forge points that people will invest in your city is much harder to acquire than with battle points, and same thing applies to goods. But anyway, that's all I have for you regarding the ranking system in Forge of Empires. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time.